Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Before we start, Lord, we ask you to be with and heal the congregation members and family members of the West Freeway Church of Christ that was shot up Sunday, December the 29th, 2019, especially the family of the two dead Christians, the congregation members. The shooter was killed by a congregation member, and if you haven't seen the video, I recommend you go and watch it. I watched it several times. You can find it on the internet in several different places. You just search for West Freeway Church of Christ shooting. I'll say it again. West Freeway Church of Christ shooting. That's in White Settlement, Texas. That's about an hour from where our church is located in Plano. So that is a real wake-up call. Sad to say, brothers and sisters, but as society continues to break down, we're probably going to see that and much worse, which is why I'm going to recover what I covered in yesterday's broadcast. I was afraid that I wouldn't have enough time to really cover it in detail, so I moved too quickly to make a lot of points. So I'm going to go back through it, making those points that I had to skip because I thought I didn't have the time. We'll start at Genesis 27:39. Now, this is the prophecy that Isaac gave to his son Esau. Esau later become, many of the people, their descendants became the Arabs and the Palestinians of what have constantly been a real thorn in the side of the Jews of today. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. I believe that that is crude oil. I've done research into the original Hebrew word, and it's referring to crude oil. And of course, the Arabs have lots of crude oil. Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live. And that's true of many of the Arabs. I mean, where the Western Gentile child has a cross around his neck, the Arabs many times have an AK-47 strung around their neck. They live and they die by the sword or by killing. Matter of fact, in many of the Arab nations on their flag, you see swords on there. And Saddam Hussein had big swords because that's their motto, the sword. By thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, now this is the important part, when thou shalt have the dominion. The dominion. Okay, what's the dominion? That means rulership, and I believe that had to do with oil. However, it specifically has to do with Muslim nations consider gold, barter trade to beat sanctions, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm giving you the background on it. So let's go to the next set of scriptures so you'll understand what these newspaper articles are saying. What we're looking at is, in my opinion, the greatest fulfillment of Scripture. If in fact they do this gold barter trade thing, if they do this, if they set up this caliphate, this is the third beast, which in my opinion has not been set up yet. I believe we're watching the rise of the third beast or the leopard, the biggest fulfillment of prophecy since the forming of Russia or the Russian bear. Now we can see the forming of the fourth beast once the third beast is in fact formed. Daniel 7:3. It talks about four beasts coming up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first one was the English lion, and it had American eagle's wings. I'm kind of summarizing it and filling in the blanks as we go. The second was like the Russian bear, or the bear, which we know as Russia. The third one was like a leopard, meaning the Muslims, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had 4 wings. And dominion, there's that word again, dominion was given to it. So, when we see a nation that has 4 wings of a fowl, it has 4 heads, rise up, that will be the dominion. That will be the time that they will be able to throw off the rulership that Isaac or the children of Israel have had over the Arabs for, well, all the way since Genesis 27:39. You may be saying, well, how do you know that the leopard is the Muslims? It's real easy. All you got to do is just do a search, where do leopards live? Print the map. Then do a search, where do most of the Muslims live? Print the map. Overlay the maps, you see that the lines match almost perfectly. It's scary how close they are. Then do a research. How do leopards live, hunt, mate, fight? Do a research. How do Muslims live, hunt, fight, and mate? Almost exact in every way. For example, the leopard doesn't like to face a fight head on. A leopard likes to catch from behind. A leopard will run until finally it has the chance to catch its prey from behind. It doesn't like face-to-face fights. And if it meets an equal force, it typically will run. And that's the way the Muslims fight, so we're told by our American military men. So what it's saying is that when this leopard, which is going to be 4 nations that will be Muslim nations, each nation has a head. When we see 4 nations, 4 Muslim nations band together and work together, each of them have 4 heads, but those 4 nations work together, that, in my opinion, will be the forming of the 3rd beast. Then we go to verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, meaning the 4th beast is the world government, where they divide the 7 continents into 10 global regions. And out of that will come one of those heads, one of those regional rulers, then Revelation 13 says will be wounded, not in the head. One of the regional rulers will be wounded unto death, and his deadly wound will be healed. That's what it's talking about. So if they do what this article I'm about to read says, if they in fact do it, and they're talking about it right now, that will be the rise of the 3rd beast, and then from there on we can watch for world government and the Antichrist coming. My opinion, probably we're about to see it. So let's jump to the article. This is dated December 21, 2019. Headline, Muslim nations consider gold, barter trade to beat sanctions. Kuala Lumpur, it says, Iran, Malaysia, this guy, by the way, comes from Reuters, okay? So, I mean, it's a pretty credible source. Iran, Malaysia, Turkey, and Qatar are considering. Now, listen to the words carefully because words mean things. The words are important here. They're considering, didn't say they're doing it yet, but they're considering trading among themselves in gold and through a barter system as a hedge against any future economic sanctions on them. Malaysian Prime Minister, it gives the name here, said this Saturday. At the end of the Islamic summit in Malaysia, this guy praised Iran and Qatar for withstanding economic embargoes and said it was important for the Muslim free to be self-reliant to face future threats. So we have a 4-nation confederacy. It is discussing beginning to trade among themselves, and that would give it power and strength that it has not had before. Going on. With the world witnessing nations making unilateral decisions to impose such punitive measures, Malaysia and other nations must always bear in mind that it can be imposed on any of us. In other words, they're saying, yes, the United States can bring these sanctions and shut us down like they're doing for example, Iran and North Korea. I have suggested that we revisit the idea of trading using the gold dinar and barter trade among us. This is what the Malaysian president referred to. We are seriously looking into this, and we hope that we will be able to find a mechanism to put it into effect. The leaders agreed that they needed to do more business among themselves and trade in each other's currencies. The summit, this is important, which was snubbed by Saudi Arabia, was criticized for undermining the Saudi-based Organization of Islamic Cooperation, that's OIC, which represents 57 Muslim-majority nations. Malaysia said that all the OIC members had been invited to the Kuala Lumpur summit, but only 20 showed up. Okay, so we got 20 Muslim nations showed up to this meeting that was organized by 4 nations. Let's go on. By the 4th and final day of the summit, no joint statement had been released. The summit had been expected to discuss major issues affecting Muslims, and went on to describe that. Without naming any country, Mahathir, that's the president of Malaysia, said there was concern that Muslims in non-Muslim countries were forced to undergo assimilation. He says, we support integration, but assimilation to the extent of shedding our religion is unacceptable. So these are all Muslim nations banding together. Now let's skip to another news article that has some additional information in it. This headline's from thenews.com. Headline, Malaysia, Turkey, Iran, Qatar, gold coin new plan. Gold barter to beat future U.S. sanctions. So it goes on to say that Iran, Malaysia, Turkey, and Qatar are considering trading among themselves in gold and through a barter system as a hedge against any future economic sanctions on them. Meanwhile, it has been hit badly after the United States reimposed sanctions on it last year. Quote, I have suggested that we revisit the idea of trading, listen to this carefully, using the gold dinar and barter trade among us. Well, what's going on? They're talking about using gold to trade among these what could be 57 nations, but 20 of them showed up, 4 of them leading it. So this very well could turn up to be the rise of the third beast, the rise of the leopard that has 4 wings and 4 heads, 4 nations. Now let's tie this together with some of the prophecies. This prophecy is a vision that was given to Pastor Shane Warren, and we had Shane Warren in to speak at the Prophecy Club, made a DVD with us, and I think it's God. And there are many parts of it that have been confirmed in the mouth of other witnesses too. Anyway, I'm doing this kind of summarized here. So he had this vision, and it has 5 parts to it: a hurricane, earthquake, and then gold being traded, an internal revolution, and rising of the church. We'll start with the hurricane. And this is summarized again. He said he saw this vision that a news reporter was in the eye of the storm. The reporter reached down, picked up a fistful of dollar bills. And he said, it's raining dollar bills. It's almost like they're worthless. They're worthless. It was raining dollar bills. So that's the first thing. What could make the dollar bills go worthless? Well, I'm going to say that it could be what he's saying here, but also don't remember the other guy, what was it, finalinfo.com or something like that, his website. He said that they're coming up with a new QFS system, the quantum financial system, that is going to do away with all of the other currencies. They're coming up with a whole global financial network. Well, that could also have something to do with making the dollar go worthless too, but that's just a guess. Let's go on. Then the earthquake. He said the scene changed back to the anchor. And the anchor said, there's another tragedy. In other words, as the dollar goes worthless, he said, another tragedy has just hit America. The New Madrid Fault in the heartland of America has just had a major earthquake. Devastation was shown all of the heartland of America along the New Madrid Fault, that's up the middle of the nation, as earthquakes caused entire cities to crumble. And I heard a booming voice speak from behind me saying, they have divided my land, now I will divide their land. Now let's pause just a second. You remember, I've told you many times, we had back in February 2014, Prophet Ephraim Rodriguez from Puerto Rico come in. He was shown a vision that a large meteor would hit Mona Island, which is a little deserted island just west of Puerto Rico, causing a tsunami 1,000 foot high at Puerto Rico. But it will go up the eastern seaboard anywhere from 200 to 400 foot high, and when it hits the east coast of America, it will go inland anywhere from 20 to 100 miles, devastating the east coast. But where it hits is an earthquake fault running up the Mississippi River Valley to the Great Lakes, splitting America from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and much of the west coast of California, all the way up into Alaska, falling into the ocean. And so this guy's coming in. I thought, well, if he's the only one saying this, we don't have to listen. So before I brought him in, I did some research. So I did some research specifically on a meteor hitting near Puerto Rico. Well, unfortunately, I found many other voices saying the same thing. As a matter of fact, I found 6 people that said that they saw a large meteor hit near Puerto Rico. That's pretty specific, okay? 4 people saw. It's all in the DVD, by the way. You can get it at watchprophecyclub.com. You can watch instantly there, or you go to order the DVD at prophecyclub.com. And Ephraim Rodriguez DVD is named Catastrophe, Meteor, Tsunami, and Earthquake. And the one I made that I'm talking about now is called Meteor, the Destruction of America. Anyway, 6 people saw A large meteor hit near Puerto Rico. 4 people saw a tsunami hit the east coast of the United States. 6 people saw America split into 2 pieces. 3 people saw large chunks of California fall into the ocean. And 9 people saw it comes because America splits Israel. Well, see, that's what Pastor Shane Warren is saying here. They divided my land. Now I will divide their land. So if the dollar were to start to go worthless, if these 4 nations begin to sell gold for oil or just trade in gold among themselves, that's the rise of the third beast, then that could be a very big sign that the dollars are soon to go worthless. That would then be a very good sign. We could watch for Trump and his son-in-law Kushner to come out with the great Israeli-Palestinian solution, and that would be splitting Israel or splitting Jerusalem specifically. All of a sudden, God hits us with a meteor and splits us right up down the middle of our nation. And that, of course, could tie in. Now, hang on. Let me just go back to that. January 22 of 2006, the Lord spoke audibly to Leslie and told her 7 signs to watch for the fall of America. And I'm going to give them the order I think that they will happen. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. These are newspaper headlines. Catastrophe hits America. That catastrophe could very well be a New Madrid fault. 3, one of America's greatest times of need. 4, Israel refuses help to America. 5, Israel is attacked. America sends troops. 6, chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. 7, she heard my voice, quoting Dimitri Duduman, the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Now, let's go back to Shane Warren's vision. So the third part is the Middle East dream. He says the scene changed, and I was taken to a room in the Middle East, and I saw India, listen carefully, India, Syria, Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, Russia, and China, all working together. These world leaders were discussing how to devalue the dollar of America by buying oil with another currency. One said, America no longer backs their dollar with gold. The American dollar has no stability. All we have to do is stop selling oil in dollars and trade in gold, and the dollar will collapse. They agreed to sell oil for gold. We will buy oil with gold, and we will change the way oil is traded using gold. And we will flush the market with dollars and drive the value of the dollar down. I saw drastic drops in the value of the dollar. Now, that's point number 3. Let's go to the 4th point. Then he said, I saw the devaluing of our dollar caused major rioting in the streets. Well, that kind of fits in with what Leslie was told too, right? Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Trouble in the streets. So let's go on, though. I saw silver, not gold, being drastically increasing in value. I saw riots break out all across major cities in America. People were rioting in the streets. On their signs, it was written, give us our entitlements. Give us our entitlements. I saw great demonstrations and violence in the streets whenever and wherever these different things are lost because there's not enough money in the government to keep the subsidies going. Now let's go to point 5. At the same time, I saw the church arise with healing in their wings for this moment. I saw God prospering greatly, many acquiring things in a great transfer of wealth. Transfer of wealth? Well, what does Proverbs 13:22 say? The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Could this be the fulfillment of it? I suspect so. A transfer of wealth coming into the hands of believers. Churches became cities of refuge. The body of Christ stood up like a mighty sleeping giant in the earth and began to minister. People were coming to them. Signs, wonders, and miracles were poured out all across America. I saw America being shaken as the worldly could no longer go to the government for help. They had to go to the church for help. Entire cities became cities of refuge. There was life, safety, listen carefully, peace, and the presence of God in the cities. Well, that's different. Because a lot of people preparing to run to the hills, okay? People were running to the cities. Revival had arrived. It was a two-sided coin. As judgment hit, so did God's miracle revivals. As great inflation caused an economic storm, great revival hit. Well, that's what God told me. Remember, I told you several times. August 8, 2015, I heard an audible voice say, "This is the time of miracles." Then he downloaded to my heart, as the judgment hits, so will my miracles. And that those miracles are going to be greater than anyone has seen, going all the way back to Adam. Miracles, and he also said this, want me to tell you this. He is not going to leave you nor forsake you. He will meet the devil step by step, inch for inch, pound for pound. Everything the devil does, God is going to show up and do bigger and better. That's the reason, for example, the Antichrist and the false prophet are off in the Holy of Holies, and the two witnesses, which are John the Revelator and Moses, off in the streets of Jerusalem, and they're using the morning star. Anybody who tries to come against them, they hit them with the morning star. They fall to the ground, a pile of ashes and bones, destroying both body and soul. Now, let's go back to talk about this new world monetary system. Let me refresh your memory there. This comes to us from finalwakeupcall.info. Headline, QFS Off-World Monetary System. This is probably what is forcing these four nations to form this gold trading caliphate? Because it's not just the U.S. sanctions that they're running from, it's this, that they don't necessarily want to be in what you might call a Western Gentile monetary system. Here's what the article says. The QFS system will cover the new global network for the transfer of gold or asset-backed money. In other words, if you don't have money that's gold or some kind of asset backed, you don't get into this system. This system is tied into 11 orbiting satellites, which I believe will ultimately be traded or tied into the 42,000 satellites of Starlink eventually, and that's according to what Maurice Sklar was shown in a vision, is going to eventually be the mark of the beast system. So this, my opinion, while it's probably some good guys setting it up, and it's probably for some good purposes, at the end of the day, it's still going to be the devil and still going to be the mark of the beast. Now let's go on to what he says here. This new quantum financial system runs on a quantum computer. All right, now what's a quantum computer? I'm about to get into my new book, the Miss the Mark book. When I do, we'll talk about it more specifically, but the simple way to think of a quantum computer is this. Try to imagine a computer that is housed in the size of a building that would set on a football field, 100 foot wide, 300 foot long. And the computer in there is the fastest computer humans can make, and it only has one job, and that is to solve a problem. That computer is like using a garden hose. If you have pretty good pressure at your house and you turn a garden hose all the way up, that represents the fastest computer system that humans can make. Whereas a quantum computer would be like comparing a garden hose to Niagara Falls. It's that much faster. And it is just amazing. And that's the reason it's going to be part of the new financial system, which is going to be the mark of the beast system. It cannot be hacked so that no one can buy or sell, say we had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. So let me go back to the article. QFS runs on a quantum computer based on an orbiting satellite and is protected by secret space programs to ensure it cannot be hacked. The quantum technology was provided, listen to this, benevolent extraterrestrial galactics, what we call demons, in my opinion. The purpose of the new financial system is to put an end to the cabal, corruption, usury, and manipulation within the banking world. In other words, this is the devil providing a solution to his old devil system that was set up 300 years ago by the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and stuff like that, Federal Reserve, cum laude, all that sort of stuff. That's all the old system, which was set up by the devil. Now, the new QFS system, my opinion, is going to be, if it's not set up by the devil, it's going to be eventually controlled by him. This is the new Mark of the Beast system. Let's go on with the article. The QFS is completely independent from the existing centralized system, making all other previous transfer systems unnecessary. Moreover, after the revaluation of all sovereign currencies will be gold or asset-backed, ensuring a sustainable value which makes the need for unbacked cryptos outdated. So this is the new financial system. And in my opinion, this four-nation caliphate is probably forming not just to avoid the U.S. sanctions, but also to avoid this because they don't want to be a part of it. Let me read one more paragraph. With the activation of the QFS, the Galactic Alliance will completely destroy the central banking system that has been designed to destroy the world economy and put the world population into perpetual debt slavery. Well, that sounds good. The little-known truth is the QFS has been running parallel to the central banking system for many months, if not more than a year, and has countered many hacking attempts to steal funds by the cabal. The result being that many bankers have been caught red-handed with illegal money transfers and have consequently been arrested, meaning this is going to be set up and it will appear to be wonderful. But of course, we know it's going to turn dark and devastating as it'll turn into the mark of the beast. Okay, so let's get to the point here. The point is, if this four-nation confederacy of Muslims, if they do set up a barter gold trading system, in my opinion, that will be the rise of the third beast, and then we can look for world government shortly after. So, brothers and sisters, we are the last generation. Jesus is coming in most of our lifetimes. I'd recommend you get my book, 1 for 20, 5 for 30, 10 for 55, The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation just as a simple project. Surprisingly, I began to receive information on 30 revelations and 2 visions beyond what is found in the Bible. God showed me a secret door, which is based upon a single word found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. When linked, a person enters into an understanding of Bible prophecy not previously known. Even though I've been in the world of Bible prophecy for 40 years, frankly, I did not know anything of what is in this book. One prophetic word described it this way. There is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn so many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Topics are Jesus returns on what feast? The secret of the feasts. Who are the 2 witnesses? What is the morning star? The judgment seat explained. The great white throne explained. The nations explained. What is the shout? And the parables explained. Seals, trumpets, and vials go in what order? 2 amazing prophecy charts on the back flap, 12 inches by 9 inches. Imagine a book on prophecy that brings a fresh, new, accurate perspective. I don't want you to get one book for $20. I want you to get 5 books for $30 or 10 for $55. It's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, available at prophecyclub.com. The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. 1 for 20. No, don't do that. You want to get 5 for 30 or the best deal, 10 for $55. prophecyclub.com. The easiest way to listen and watch Prophecy Club YouTube videos is to download our free app from the App Store. This is not to be confused with WatchProphecyClub.com, where you can watch 26 years and over 300 DVDs for a subscription of $20 a month or $200 a year. I've got good news. We are going to offer the Sevenfold Miracle Crusade next year, April 8th through the 12th in 2020. Find out more about it by going to sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com. 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 You can now watch 160 Prophecy Club recordings without interruption. The introductory rate, $20, recurring monthly subscription. A 1-year subscription is a gift of $200. You get the first 3 days free just to check it out. Watch prophecyclub.com.
Join the battle and prayerfully consider supporting the Prophecy Club with your gifts of support. We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.